case. Are you ready to have fun? I sure am. We are going to laugh and learn tonight. And the objective tonight is very simple, or this evening is very simple. It's to have fun, and secondly, to learn. The bonus is that you'll be able to practice as well. Yes, we learn by doing. Abhijit has some very fun table topic questions planned for you that will elicit your humorous responses. Before we proceed, there are a few meeting logistics to attend to. Would our timer, Hazel Booth, please demonstrate the timing signals? Thank you, Hazel.
Apologies, a little bumpy on this end. So when a person has a person has reached their minimum, they will get the green flag. When they've reached the next marker will be at the yellow flag, and when they've reached their final amount and they have a 30-second window remaining, they'll get the red flag.
Thank you so much, Hazel. Would you please refer to your agenda? Before we move into that, we do have a change to note because our first speaker could not attend. We now have two speakers today for our meeting, Michael Maddox and Linda Wu. And the great news is that you will have more fun time with table topics. Doesn't that sound like fun? Everyone will be able to participate. Everyone who is in a timed meeting role, please be aware of your place on the agenda and be ready to proceed forward. I would like to thank Lindy McLean, who is enabling spotlighting and also who has assisted me in putting some items into the chat for you this evening. And now we will move on into the mini training. The best news about humor is finding funny can be learned. Toastmasters and guests, if I can learn humor, you absolutely can. At the September training, we covered 3 strategies to create humor in your speeches. They were the series of 3, or sometimes called the list of 3, exaggeration, large and small, and self-deprecation, half and half. Because we didn't have much time for the bonus strategy, it's our very first one in this meeting. It's also one of my favorites, and for me, it is one of the easiest strategies to succeed at because it pays off in big laughs. So, do you like easy? I certainly do. Do you have my handout? It should be in your chat. Please refer to that.
Sandra, not yet, but I will post it now.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much, Lindy. So open up the handout. We will follow it through in order, but I will also direct you to it in order. And if you have some difficulty with that, it will be provided to you also in the follow-up after the meeting in the Eventbrite link. And you can always reach out to me or to Lindy or Elena Brenna, who's assisting me, to get that handout. This mini training will be interactive. That means you get to participate. I have gallery view open. You can raise your hand or wave at me. And if you wish to respond in chat, you can certainly do that to everyone, or unmute yourself. And at the appropriate time, we'd love to hear your voice with your responses. Elena Brenna will be the chat master tonight. She will be assisting me in capturing your chats and making this even work a little bit more interactively. So we're looking forward to having some fun. As speakers, we often hear how important humor is in every speech. It doesn't matter whether it's an international speech contest speech, maybe a personal eulogy, or a simply entertaining and fun speech. Now, all humor doesn't have to be a big belly laugh. It can be a lighter emotion, a feeling that lifts you up, a little grin, or a great big smile. It all provides those lighter moments of those ups and downs within our speeches as we experience the emotions of the words. But why is humor important? We have what I call the 3 E's of humor. But I'd like to hear what you think about humor. Why do you think it's important in a speech? Anyone? Judy, and then Abhijit.
I think it's because it makes things engaging, having humor.
Absolutely, absolutely engaging, and that's one of the E's. Abhijit.
It releases the tension.
Yes, it releases the tension, the tension or those tense moments in the speech. And what I was going to say about that is it provides emotional relief. So Abhijit, you absolutely got that E for emotional relief. Anyone else? Elena, did any come through in chat?
I haven't seen any.
All right. Why else would we use?
And
Lindy.
entertaining is, this is Dale.
Absolutely, it's entertaining. And Lindy, that wasn't your voice. So Lindy.
By adding humor, it allows us to address really serious subjects without dumping it all in their lap in an uncomfortable way.
Absolutely. It helps keep the audience with you, doesn't it, Lindy? It engages you rather than overloads them, and they can hone in more directly to your message and to your points of your speech. Well, there are many reasons why to use humor, but for the purposes of this training, we're just going to focus on the 3 E's. So the first one is humor energizes and engages. The second one is humor enables your message to advance, and it enables your message to stick, to stay right here with your audience so that they'll remember it tomorrow and a long time from now. And then the third one is, as Abhijit talked about, was the emotional relief. Humor helps to not only relieve those tense moments, but it also helps to connect emotionally with the content and even with the speaker. Now, before we go further into this, let's take a look at the overriding strategies, because this is very important to every speaker in every situation in which we speak, and particularly with humor. The first one is to know your audience. You absolutely need to know who you are speaking to. And tonight it's a Toastmasters audience, or rather today it's a Toastmasters audience. And the occasion today is a humorous or more entertaining evening. So know the audience and know the occasion. And that way you can make your humor appropriate to that audience and to that occasion. The second one is to use humor to connect, not divide. To connect, not divide. Humor is supposed to bring us together so that we can all connect emotionally with that speaker, with that subject matter, remember those points, and to unite us so that we all have fun together, not to be divisive or create antagonism. And then the third one is always, always, always poke fun at yourself, not others. Make yourself the brunt of your jokes and not others. And this is part of connecting with others as well. So poke fun at yourself, not others. Now, the first strategy is one of my favorite. I just had so much fun with it, I couldn't stop. My husband and I were just laughing and laughing the other day as we were coming up with some of these. But the first tip is to start by collecting an ongoing list of funny words. And to help you out, I gave you some examples of funny words in your handout, and certainly you'll choose many more of your own. And I encourage you to start building a list, create a file. Every time you think of a word that might be funny, add it to your list, because this is material for you going forward in every one of your speeches. The key to delivery of this, though, is to not step in your punchline. So make sure your humorous point, the point of the laughter, is at the end, not first. It helps it make it more memorable. There's some examples I have for the dictionary formula. Until I looked it up, I thought bamboozled meant Bambi had an alcohol problem. Some of you have heard that before. But I took the word bamboozled and I looked at the middle of the word, the root, booze, which is an acronym, or rather a slang term for alcohol. Bamboozled. And of course, Bambi. Who doesn't love little Bambi, the little deer? So bamboozled means that Bambi had a drinking problem or an alcohol problem. That's what I thought, of course, until I looked it up. Until I looked it up, I thought wishy-washy meant needing to do laundry. Until I looked it up, I thought whirligig meant a worldwide tour. Until I looked it up, I thought canoodle meant good cooks can make noodles. Now it's your turn. We have two different formats. I personally prefer what I call the better format, simply because I feel it allows the audience to laugh at the very end of it and not step so much in the punchline. However, I've seen it done both ways, and it's certainly your choice. So use whatever works for you. Can you fill in the blank? Maybe use one of those words.
Okay.
Now's your time.
Well,
Wait.
I have one. I have one. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, I can. Please speak up.
Okay, I'll do dollop. I thought dollop meant a horseback riding doll until I looked it up.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else? Did I see Michael? Did I see your hand? No. Okay. Lindy?
Until I looked it up, I thought ego meant he, well, a male walking.
Elena, have we had any come in on chat?
No, nothing in the chat.
Nothing in the chat.
Let's see.
Sandra,
Yes.
when I was a kid, I had to find out that a dandelion was not a finely dressed lion that I would find in the zoo.
All right. That's good. Dandelion. It's a great one.
So I don't see where you're getting these words. I see bumper shoot, dollop, doozy.
Oh, well, she came up with her own word.
Oh, I
it.
see.
Yeah,
Okay,
so you could add dandelion to your list on that note on the notes here.
I see. Okay, got it.
Yeah. Oh, you'll all come up with wonderful words, I'm sure. Michael Cohen.
Until I looked it up, I thought nomads were a group that never got angry.
Very, very good. All right. Nomad is another word. I love it.
I've got one in the chat.
Thank you, Elena.
Sorry, I keep forgetting not to unmute it myself here. Janine Wan says, I thought Toastmasters were good at browning bread.
Very good.
Thank you, Janine.
Masters at Toast. I love it. Any others? All right. Well, it sounds like you really have the idea. So have fun with that. You can come up with some great ones. And I'll close with this one. Until I looked it up, I thought hogwash meant giving pigs a bath. And now moving on to humor strategy number 2, 2 types of puns. Now puns are language oriented, more language specific, and also cultural, I would say, in my opinion. They're more difficult, but yet you can get some big laughs out of them. It might be more challenging if a person is a second language speaker of English, but then the solution is always to increase your vocabulary and play with the uniqueness and the absurdities of some of the grammar and punctuation and spelling of English words to make the most of that for use in puns. The first type of pun are homonym puns. Homonym puns make use of words that sound alike, but have different meanings. Again, make a list of homonyms to use in your speeches and keep adding to that all along. So some examples of words that sound alike, but have different meanings are beat and beat. And if you look at my examples of homonyms on your handout, you will see what I mean. An example I have is when I told our builders that I didn't want carpeted steps, they gave me blank stares. You will see on the list of homonyms, it's about the third one from the end, stare and stairs. S-T-A-I-R for stairway or staircase, and S-T-A-R to stare at someone. That's what an example of that type of homonym is. Another example I have is this one. My doctor told me I have type A blood, but when I looked on my health card, it says it's a type O. So it plays in the word type O blood or the error of type O, like making a typo. They sound alike, but 2 entirely different meanings. This is a bit more challenging, but if you can, select a homonym from the list and try to exploit the different meanings to create a pun. Can you do that? It's a bit more difficult. I'll give you a moment. Elena, please interject if you see anything come in.
Well, there's one from Abhijit saying, I knew I could write a great essay, but not sure if it would be politically right. So right and right.
Very good. Oh, that's excellent. Yes, right and right. Does anyone else want to try? Well, we'll move on, but I encourage you to play with this. And if you do come up with one, please put it in chat. Elena will watch that. We'll come back to it. I personally find these a bit more difficult, but once you get into the mindset and the framework and start watching for them, then it will become a little bit easier for you. Type 2 pun are figurative language or puns. Figurative language puns capture funny double meanings. These puns use words that imply similarity or even sound similar, but are not alike. I've listed 2 sets of examples here. There are examples of words for figurative language puns like cut and chop. Another one could be desert and dessert, lend, borrow, here, listen, and so forth. There's another list of examples of words with multiple meanings, and these are perhaps a little bit easier to use for pun writing. So if you come up with your own list and add to that as we go, words with multiple meanings, then when you are writing your speech and you've come across one of those words within your speech, then perhaps that might be a place where you could interject a pun for some humor in your speech. So some examples that I came up with for puns are, 1, I was recently in a performance about puns. It was a play on words. Performance and play. I got over my addiction to chocolate, marshmallows, and nuts, finally. I won't lie, it was a rocky road. So if you like Rocky Road ice cream, you know what I'm talking about, chocolate, marshmallows, and nuts, or Rocky Road candy. And my husband came downstairs with this one the other day. He said, is AFib a heart condition or just a white lie? I should tell you, in my house, we call them MUJs, made up jokes. My husband's great at this. He used to hit me with them at 6 in the morning before I had coffee, and I never laugh. You know, it's like, no, I cannot take this. But after I have my coffee, I often hear some made up jokes, and I have a file of his jokes, which is some of my material tonight. Another one he has is this one. Did you hear about the guy who was repulsed by CPR? Repulsed. All right, so let's go to those blanks. See if you can fill in the blanks for the puns I've listed. The first one is medical researchers studied. Can anyone fill in that one? Raise your hand and read it to us.
Look in the results.
Medical researchers studied effects of alcohol on a person's walk, and the result was staggering.
Staggering, absolutely staggering. It's that play on words. There's a staggering when a person is drunk. Can anyone fill in the second one? Oh, I just saw hard to find come in. Melanie says.
I think it's
Melanie
sick.
says.
I thought the good player was sick.
I thought a good players were the draft.
I'm sorry, I couldn't capture that. Elena, could you say that, please? Did you get that?
What they said, no. I've got some things in chat.
All right. Whoever said the last one, could you please repeat it? All right, let's move on to Elena. Could you read some that came in chat? Thank you.
Sure, these were earlier on the puns and homonyms. One from Abhijit, I know my stem cells were up for sale. Cells and cells.
Yeah.
Michael Cohen offered not a true homonym, but I want to eat more vegetables, but I can't on my celery.
Very good. Very good.
The stewardess looked at my beige jacket and said, oh, you're flying plane.
Very good.
Melanie put something in which may have been in response to one of your prompts. Her answer was hard to find, but I don't have
All
the
right. Okay, so it's a second example. It was number 2, or is rather number 2. When I was a kid, I played hide and seek, but good players are hard to find. And then number 3, has anyone figured out number 3? I started telling everyone about the benefits of eating dried blank.
I started telling anyone about the benefits of eating dried prunes. It's all about current awareness.
Oh, dried prunes and current awareness. Well, what we have here, or rather I have, is I've started telling everyone about the benefits of eating dried grapes. It's all about raisin awareness. The play of grape, the fresh fruit versus the dried fruit, which is the raisin. But you know, yours are all really wonderful. And the more you play with this, the more you'll tweak it, the more you'll fine tune it and come up with better ones of your own. I use for some of these examples I've heard before around and not sure where they came from. A lot of them are all over internet as well. But really, when you do this in your speeches, you can hone them directly to your speech. And that's where they really become funny, is when you make up your own. Another one my husband made up is this one. I used to think dehydrating food was a complicated process, but really it's cut and dried. All right, well, thank you so much. The bonus strategy is simply this. Writing humor is a craft. It can be learned. And the more you practice it, and the more you keep it in your forefront, the more that you'll be able to use it in any of your speeches. So challenge yourself to do the hard work that others won't do. And some of these certainly are hard work, I acknowledge that. But if I can compete in humor speech contests and make it all the way to the District 32 and come out placing, I never thought I could. Well, you certainly can as well. It's just a matter of putting the effort into it. So thank you so much. And now we'll move on to the next portion of our meeting. Before we announce our speakers, observe how each speaker uses humor. Consider these 2 questions. What was funniest for you? What would make it even funnier? What would make the speech even funnier? And what was funniest in the speech for you? During the round robin time, you'll be able to share your comments to those questions in the chat and also in round robin. All speakers, can you see the timer? That would be Michael Maddox and Linda Wu. Can you see the timer? And please be waiting in the wings and ready to your turn when you're being introduced. Yes, Linda, did you have a question? No, all right. Any questions before we move on? Thank you so much. Michael, are you ready? Can you see the timer?
I'm ready.
Wonderful.
Yes, I can see my timer.
Wonderful. Thank you, Michael. Michael Maddox has been wearing buttons since forever. He has a story or 2 to tell about them. Please help me welcome Michael Maddox for his speech titled Buttons. Buttons, Michael Maddox.
Can you all hear me? Okay. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and guests, what do waltz, cha-cha, and swing have in common? All these dances have buttons. Yes, buttons, that's the answer, on the sleeves of the gentlemen or guys who are leading their ladies or gals across the dance floor or barroom. Buttons, ballroom, bars. A little bit of explanation for those in the audience who might be a bit perplexed. This craggy old guy was once fresh-faced and he had hair. Way back then, I was on a square dance competition team called the Aggie Heelhoppers at Colorado State University. And there were 16 of us, would travel around Colorado and Wyoming, giving exhibition dances at square dance festivals at the halftime. Our gals, now it's Colorado, so we speak cowboy. The guys are, the gentlemen are guys, the ladies are gals. So the guys wore purple shirts that the gals had sewn with white crests. The gals wore purple skirts with white petticoats, and we all had white gloves. This fluoresced in a black light. So when the house lights went down and the black lights went up, the V's twirled, the skirts whirled, and the gloves arced. And us young folks put on quite a show for the old folks. Afterwards, we'd head out to the country western bars, drink Coors beer, eat Rocky Mountain oysters, which are bull's balls that are fried, sliced, and hot sauce put on them. And then we country two-step, and our gals could dance. Oh my, they could take Alaman Laugh and turn it into The Devil Went Down to Georgia. So you're saying, what's this have to do with anything? The important point is on my shirt sleeve of my country western shirt, there was one button. Yes, just one button. Remember that. Fast forward 26 years. I'm now older. I've got some wrinkles. I'm in the Navy. I'm actually a Navy officer, still working on a gentleman part. I'm going to school in Newport, Rhode Island at a military school. Thing about Newport, it's a quaint New England town. It's where American, British, French, and other navies have dropped anchor since 1524. But for our purposes, in the 1920s, the roaring 20s, the rich of America built their, what they called cottages. For us, it's mansions. They built their cottages there. Think Vanderbilts, Astors, Morgans. Well, one of these mansions, called the Rosecliff, is central to our story. You've probably seen it, maybe on The Great Gatsby, if you've seen that film starring Robert Redford, or True Lies, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jamie Lee Curtis. Beautiful mansion. It's got windows going up high. It's got a spreading ballroom floor. It's got a curving marble staircase coming down. You can almost see a princess coming down. Well, our school was celebrating the Navy birthday. So it was a dinner dance, and they had music lined up by, if you can believe it, peculiar, I realized, an Air Force band, but it was an Air Force band. And all of us, Army, Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force, folks, students were all dressed up in our military finest. Our spouses were in their long gowns or their tuxedos. And now you're thinking, where is he going with this? All this formal wear had lots of buttons. It was a hazard-rich environment, lots of buttons. The music starts, the band starts playing, and they're playing a swing. And I'm in with my wife, and we're just having a good time. She is looking so beautiful with her long gown, her earrings, her necklace, and her hair done up in a formal chignon bun. And as we're swinging, I go over her head and knock off that formal chignon bun. Oh well, it's okay. She lets her hair out. We float with it. If I'd have been Army, I would have said we roll with it. But I'm Navy, so I say we float with it. So we floated with it. We had a good time. We're dancing the foxtrot, the rumba, the salsa. Oh, it's good. Now, the next step, you have to realize that a Navy officer's sleeve has lots of buttons, gold ones, pretty to look at. But if you get a pretty woman's long hair caught in the button, oh, it gets ridiculous. And that's what happened. My wife's hair got caught in my button and she's pulled back and I'm pulled back with my wrist like this and she's bent over with her long hair. And I realize this is not the best visual example of long hair. And she's going, wait. Oh, so embarrassing. Strike two for the gentleman wannabe. Well, we float with it. It's fine food, fine friends, good time. We're enjoying ourselves. And the evening starts to draw to a close. Now, the band, you would think for the very last end, they would play something nice and slow and romantic, like a waltz. May I have this dance for the rest of my life? Or perhaps a romantic nightclub two-step, like the Lady of Red. Never saw you looking so lovely as you are tonight. But no, the band plays a swing. You have to realize they're an Air Force band, no class. So they start playing a swing song. We're going to rock around the clock tonight, going to rock, rock, rock till broad daylight. And so we're rocking and we're rolling. And my hand with all the buttons on the sleeve goes over my wife's head, down her back, and the button catches her zipper and opens her up from top to bottom, right in front of an Air Force table where Air Force guys are going, get a room, get a room. Oh. And the moral of the story, you do not take a Coors beer drinking, Rocky Mountain oyster eating guy. You can take him and dress him up, but you cannot take him out because of those infernal buttons. Madam Toastmaster.
Oh, Michael, I will forever have a different idea of buttons now. For the round robin, may we please have the timed round robin, Madam Timer. The round robin is shared time. Please be brief and give just one point of feedback that has not been previously shared. And if there's more time, then we'll come around to you again. We can also use the chat, and please indicate with the icon raise hand or wave at me frantically, and I'll call on you for feedback. The two questions again are, what was funniest for you? And what could be made funnier for you? Anyone? Lindy and then Abhijit.
I love the building of the faux pas, the button faux pas, how it got worse and worse. And of course, the funniest was when you opened her zipper by accident and had a whole table yelling about it. That was marvelous. And while I'm just telling you, it has nothing to do with funny, but I loved your movement and your use of space. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lindy. Abhijit, please.
Lindy stole what I was going to say. So I really loved the end, the build up, and then the big end was phenomenal. So thank you for making us laugh, Michael.
Thank you. It's that escalation. Judy, did you have your hand up? No. Oh, we have one. Melanie, please. Melanie?
Thanks, Michael. I really loved your speech. I think the thing that I thought was funniest, because I've got the opposite problem to you, was the part where you said you're not the best visual for the long hair. Something that I thought, I also liked all the humor points, laughed all the way through. Things that I thought might add a bit is like maybe some facial expressions that would maybe just pause, make a facial expression and let us laugh before you carry on.
Thank you, Melanie.
Michael?
Vivian, is that you?
Yes.
Yes, Vivian.
I was laughing too loud here. I could personally relate because I do ballroom dancing. And many years ago, I had a ponytail. So you know where this story is going. And not a zipper, but I had a slit in my skirt. And I said, you know, the air conditioning is getting colder and colder and colder. Well, you know how far up my split. Not a slit, but a split wet. So Michael, thank you for reminding me. I love your story. Go for it.
Karen, please. Karen, could you unmute?
I like the fact that Michael, and I've danced with Michael, so I know how he dances and how enthusiastic and what a good dancer he is. But I like the way you shared a lot of yourself in your story, and you made fun of yourself. And that is sometimes just the fact that we can make fun of ourselves and tell a story, I think is just a wonderful gift, a wonderful skill to have.
Thank you, Karen. Karen highlighted health self-deprecation as a point of humor. Self-deprecation is always endearing to audiences, so that was well played. We had one come in from Nancy on chat. She said, I thought the singing was a nice touch. And Michael Cohen said, Michael followed one of Sandra's humor rules and it was effective. His humor was self-deprecating. Well, thank you, Mike, and thank you, Michael Cohen. Any further comments?
I just have one thing that I just absolutely love the title of the speech, because I thought, what is he going to do with this button? I mean, how does that all go into, and I thought it was just a fabulous way of constructing the story, because eventually it took a while before I figured out what is going to happen to those buttons and why this is a gentlemanly thing. But it was really just great how that all worked together. And thank you for the speech. It was great.
And thank you, Judith. Yes, it really drew us in, didn't it? The title was a great hook. Beverly, did you have one?
Yeah, I just liked his enthusiasm, his smile, and then how he did engage me with the curiosity of what's this button's going to be all about. And so then he went through it and talked about it. So that was good.
Thank you, Beverly. And you're certainly correct. It's the energy.
Yeah.
One of the E's that speakers can bring with them is that energy that can draw your audience into the humor of your speech and into the story. Michael was very energetic. It certainly enhanced his speech, in my opinion, and it had me with him all of the time. So he brought that energy and engagement. Thank you. It looks like we're still in the yellow. If anyone has one more.
I was going to make a comment, Sandra, if I may.
Yes.
About the use of language. Michael used alliteration quite a bit with the buttons, ballrooms, and bars. And he did that so well because of the rhythm of that phrase, the 2-syllable words first, and then ending it on the hard 1-syllable bars. So beautiful use of alliteration and rhythm, and played with words with the officer and the gentleman concept. All are familiar with that phrase, and that's what certainly the Navy strives for, to have officers and be gentlemen. He's still working on that. So it was really enhanced by the use of language, and that would enhance any speech, not just a humorous speech.
It certainly did. I noticed the alliteration as well. It was excellently done. We need to move on to our next speaker. Please put your comments into the chat and we'll come back to them if we can, but at least we all can learn from you and we can all read them. So please do that. Our second speaker is Linda Wu. Linda, are you ready? Can you see the timer? Our timer is Hazel Booth. Yes, okay, thank you so much, Linda. And again, with Linda's speech, we'll look for what is funniest for you and what could be made funnier. Linda Wu will explain her Toastmaster experience in a humorous way. She hopes her story will resonate with other Toastmasters. Please welcome Linda to the screen for her speech titled, My Toastmaster Experience. My Toastmaster Experience, Linda Wu.
8 years ago, I walked by a coffee shop and I saw a man standing there speaking. 4 people sitting around the table using checklists, scoring him. Many other people observing him silently. I was very interested and asked, can I score him as well? You can score him, but your scores won't count. We're in a contest. How many contestants are there? 2. For the 2 contestants, we have 4 judges, 2 timers, 2 ballot counters, 1 Toastmaster, and 1 contest chair. Many of them came from another city to help us. The first speaker was a passionate young man. He did an inspiring speech. The second speaker was a middle-aged man who tried to be humorous, but his speech was lame and dry. I was certain the passionate young man would win, but the dry man won. They said he was the president, and the passionate young man was disqualified. I thought this was ridiculous. So I wanted to come back to learn more. Next week, at about the same time, I came back to the coffee shop. Nobody was there. I called the president. They said they were about to cancel the meeting because not enough people. But since I arrived, they had enough hands. I thought Toastmasters need more mouths, not hands. In the meeting, they asked me to do a table topic. I stood on the stage, didn't know what I was talking about, but it looked like they really knew what I was talking because they voted me as the best table topic speaker. Later, I knew it was their recruitment strategy. In the prepared speech session, a young girl did her first speech. She was using great gestures, but they were always 2 gestures. Knees shaking, lips trembling. The president congratulated her on her remarkable achievement. He said, she had a very good visual presentation. I thought he meant she was pretty. The girl was very excited and promised to do more, even better speech in next meeting. I was very intrigued. this was ridiculous. So I wanted to come back to understand more. In the third meeting, they recruited me as a new member. In the fourth meeting, they decided to give me a tiny little role, the Vice President of Education. 1 year later, the young girl won in the area contest. She was really remarkable on the stage, and I built an English-speaking Toastmaster club. I vote guests as best table topic speaker. I congratulate new members for their remarkable achievements. More clubs were built. More people come in. We become good friends, even outside of a Toastmaster club. Our kids play together. Our families travel together. When we travel, the VPE plans for the tour theme. The Toastmaster makes the schedule. The driver is our sergeant of arms. The timer keeps the driver on time. Every tour stop is 5 to 7 minutes. Lunch is an advanced stop, 8 to 10 minutes. When our kids play, they spend 1 to 2 minutes to evaluate each other's performance. They congratulate new members, new players, even when they miss the shot. Last year, I was surfing on the internet, and I walked into a Zoom room. I saw a man standing there speaking, many people observing him. I joined professionally speaking club and did my first speech. People praised me and my speech, even though they didn't understand my Chinglish. Later, all the members understood all my speeches because I always do the same speech again and again. When I first met Toastmasters, I thought this was ridiculous. They clap hands for nothing. They give awards randomly. They praise people for their social performance. So I wanted to come back to understand more. But gradually, I understand they were lifting people up. By giving them encouragement and constructive feedback, they help people to grow and become really remarkable. Lifting people up, giving them momentum, and achieving goals. So I want to come back. Back to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Linda. Oh, wow. I love that. I love following your Toastmasters humorous journey, and especially your tours, your trips together with your friends. Thank you so much. Does anyone have feedback for Linda on what was funniest for you or what could be made funnier?
Okay, I'll talk.
Yes.
Well, when you said, I thought it was very funny when you said VPE was a simple job. That was hilarious. And then, no, I really did. I liked your visuals. And I liked when you said you thought the lady who had good visual presentation was pretty. And they were talking about good visuals with your speech. I thought that was cute. And then you said you put Chinese and English together, my Chinglish. I thought that was cute.
Thank you so much. Marianne, is your hand up? Yes.
Hi guys, nice to meet you all. It's a wonderful place and really fun. I love it. I am just floored how innocent and naive I am, thinking about how they lure us in as new Toastmasters. Oh my God. I cannot believe it. But when I think about, yes, of course, I got a little prize as a new member because I did a great speech or a great table topic. Oh my God. Now I'm really wondering how good or bad am I? Because you all are just too nice to us. That was a wonderful speech, and thank you so much, Linda. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Marianne. So you want to come back and learn more. Judy Stein.
Yes, thank you, Linda. Two things I thought were very funny, so I'll just stick to one at this point. After all of these newbie speakers getting awards, and you kept saying, this was ridiculous. And I thought that was so funny because not only did you say, this is ridiculous over and over, but you added, but I wanted to know more. So I thought the switch between ridiculous, but I want to know more was a nice play against each other.
It was a very nice contrast, wasn't it? Thank you. Other comments? Elena, would you like to read some coming in from the Zoom?
From the chat? Well,
Yes, yes, chat, sorry.
and someone's commented, that's called the broken record technique, and it works well. I believe she's referring to the petition. And Lindy has just said a cautionary word here. That is not my experience of awards, so we'll let it serve as humor. Should it be scary that the guest table topic is often the best? Yeah, a little bit. I did have a comment building on what Judy said about the repetition of the phrase, this is ridiculous, or that was ridiculous. I think that could be built up even more, maybe even funnier, with following it with so ridiculous that, of course, a little pause, I had to come back. So
Thank you. Hazel, I see your hand.
no, she's a timer.
My hand is up because I'm the timer and I'm kind of pinned here.
Oh, I see. Well, thank you for enlightening. Michael Maddox, did you have something to say?
Yes, I'll just say on a humorous speech, I think, thank you for the humorous points that you made, Linda. And I'll just say in a humorous speech, you almost have to identify really soon that it's a humorous speech. Something has to come out in the first few moments that's self-deprecating or confusing or leading up to a quandary, something that puts the audience in realizing, oh, this is not a serious speech. This is going to be a funny speech. So they get in the right frame of mind. That's the only thing I would suggest. You were going down kind of a list of what happens at Toastmaster speech presentations and what you saw, and then you got to your funny parts down here. I would put some of your funny stuff, some sort of introduction at the beginning, towards the beginning. So
do you have a
thank you for the speech very much, Linda. Thank you for the work you put into that.
Thank you. Melanie.
Thank you, Linda. I think all of my points have been stolen, but two things that I thought I would mention. I really liked when you talked about the gestures, which were the knees, good gestures, which were the knees shaking and the lips trembling, because I could just visualize that. I also think you had a lot of good pauses before your punchlines, which helped us to kind of laugh with things. But maybe something you could add is when you talked about the recruitment strategy, then you can maybe just wink at us to just remind us, well, maybe it's happened in your club or a club you've been to.
Thank you so much, Melanie. And if you have further feedback to Linda, please put that into the chat for her. It's time for us now to move on to a very fun segment of this meeting as well. President Abhijit is our table topic master, and I understand that he has some very fun table topics in mind for us tonight. Please welcome Abhijit.
Thank you so much, Sandra. The first thing I want to tell you, today there are no prizes. Let's start the show. What was the worst haircut you ever had? What was the worst haircut you ever had? I was going to ask this to Michael Maddox, but I'm going to change it and ask it to Muriel. Muriel, it's you. What was the worst haircut you ever had?
The worst haircut?
Yes.
The worst haircut that I have ever had. Well, oh, you know what? There was a time, professional speakers, Toastmasters, and guests, there was a time years and years and years and years ago when I was living in New York. I'm from New York and I was living in New York. And this was in the 90s. And I always wore my hair straight. But this was a time when African Americans were bushing their hair into an afro. And so I had a really nice length of hair, and I went to a young lady. She had a reputation for really shaping afros into a beautiful cut. And you know what I found out about stylists? They have this thing about swinging you around in the chair, so you really don't get a chance to see what they're doing in the mirror. I didn't realize this because I was only about 25 at the time. So, you know, it was a few years ago. Anyway, she wound up cutting my hair so short, I looked like a boy. I was really so hurt, but I was too immature and not assertive enough to say to her, I'm really not happy with what you've done with my hair. And she cut it so short. And when I went out, I felt like I could cry. I felt so ashamed. I felt just so unhappy. And that was a time in my life when I could see that it was really important to be able to speak up for yourself. I've learned since then that speaking up for yourself, it's not a way of arguing, but it's a way of just standing in your truth and being able to say, use your voice and honor yourself and say, this is not what I expected. And so I should have said to her, you got to give me some more hair. It was like today, we could get little pieces of hair put back clipped into our hair. Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Muriel, that's a very good lesson. Speak up, speak up. We need to speak up. So thank you for sharing that story with us. If you were a wrestler, what would be your entrance theme song? If you were a wrestler, what would be your entrance theme song? Melanie?
Entrance theme song if I was a wrestler. Well, first of all, you can see I have no muscles, so I probably wouldn't be a good wrestler. But then if I were a wrestler, what would be my entrance theme song? I'd probably have to do a really big thing so that people would be really distracted from the muscles. Or maybe I'd have to wear one of those sumo suits so people would think that I have muscles and I'd be able to beat the opponents. But as I came in, the thing that I first thought about is, you know, that song from Chariots of Fire. So I just thought I would take all the time in the world to go to the stage, just like you would do if you don't have an answer to the table topic. And by that time, maybe they're all tired and they'll declare me the winner and I don't even have to do any fighting. So Abhijit, if I had to have a theme song, I think I would take the one that would make the slowest walk so that I'd have all the time in the world to prepare mentally and physically.
That is a great strategy, Melody. Thank you for sharing.
Good.
What food do you love that a lot of people might find it weird or disgusting? What food do you love that a lot of people might find it weird or disgusting? Beverly.
Okay, thank you. Oh, wow. Find food that they would find disgusting. Well, I know people who really love lots of beef and meat and greasy stuff, but I don't like that. So what I like is Thai food. Thai food has anything with coconut and basil. That's for me. And they put a lot of vegetables, real fresh chopped up vegetables, and do stir fries. And that's my favorite food. But a lot of people are like, no, we're not going to a Thai food again. And that's all where I like to go because it's healthy, it's fresh, it's clean to eat, and you don't feel so heavy afterwards. But I do have friends that love a greasy burger, so they freak out when I want to go to a delicious Thai food. And I say, you guys have to try it. This is the healthiest of all, and it's delicious. So, and I am just a pesto lover, anything with basil in it. That's my kind of food. So I drag people who don't eat that kind of food. I drag them with me and I say, come on, you guys, clean up your arteries. You can't keep stuffing in all that greasy meat. You've got to have some nice, healthy vegetables in your diet. So I drag people, and I think I'm doing a good thing for people. Thank you.
Beverly, come to the Bay Area. We have an amazing Thai restaurant.
Oh,
Dusita. It's rated really high, and it has one of the best foods in this region.
perfect. I love it.
Thank you for sharing your story with us. What was the worst style choice you ever made? What was the worst style choice you ever made? Marian?
I'm very sorry. I did not understood the question. What was
the worst style choice you ever made?
Oh Lord. I'm going back to the 70s. I hated the 70s. The 70s style was horrible. The bell buttons and the color combinations, having a green orange striped shirt with some bell buttons that were way out there. I think the 70s were the worst style, and we had no choice. We had no choice, not like today. Today we can wear the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, no matter what. We can wear any era. So that's the great thing about today. Definitely the style choice. The hair, it was not so much better, but it was puffy, and it got puffier actually in the 80s. So in the 80s, my style choice was right on. So basically, I'd love to have all the 80s still to wear, and thank God we live in the 2000s. We can wear whatever we want. So thank God we don't have to do ugly styles from the 70s. Thank you for the question, Mr. Table Topic Master.
Marian, thank you for reminding us about the 70s. What was the best prank you have played on someone or someone has played on you? What was the best prank you have played on someone or someone has played on you? Karen?
One of the best I've had so many people pull so many jokes on me. And I know when they do that, they really must love me. But sometimes I wonder, one of the best pranks or one of the craziest things that ever happened is I was invited to lunch at this restaurant that had a steer roping setup. I can't think of the name of the restaurant at the time, at this time, but they had a barrel that had a saddle on it. And I was sitting there eating my lunch, and all of a sudden the waitress comes out and she has a birthday cake, and she sets it down in front of me and she says, "Happy birthday." And I said, "This isn't my birthday. What's all this about?" And I looked at my friends and I said, "What are you doing? Why did you do this?" And the waitress then said, "You get to ride the steer because it's your birthday." It was so hilarious and crazy, and I was so surprised. I don't think I'll ever trust those friends at lunch anywhere again. They are true pranksters and know how to get my goat.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you for sharing that story with us.
You're welcome.
What breed of cat or dog would you be? What breed of cat or dog would you be? Nancy?
You're muted.
There, I've got it. Thank you for the question. What breed or of cat or dog would I be? Well, if I was a cat, I tend to be a cat because I like to be independent and I don't need a lot of petting. Well, I guess cats like to be petted too, but I don't need a lot of, I'm independent. So I would like to be a cat. And if I was a dog, I would be a poodle because they don't shed. And I would be smart because poodles are smart. And I would be a cavalier because they're calm. So people look at me and think of my disposition as calm. So I would be a cavapoo if I was a dog. If I was a cat, like I said, I would like to be a cat, but a long-haired cat because it feels so good to be stroked. Thank you.
Nancy, I truly agree with that. Means the poodles, they don't shade and they're wonderful to have and they're very smart. What was the silliest thing you are pretty good at? What is the silliest thing you are pretty good at? Judith?
I am very good at many things, it turns out. But I just want to, since I have my friend here knows me, that what I'm good at is being a slave to my cat. And that is what she thinks I am. So when the person before me spoke about it, what she would like to be, I would like to be my cat. And only my cat, because no one in a world who gets up every single time and looks at me and knows that I will exactly do what she wants me to do, because we have this wonderful communications. We already know each other. It's been 10 years that she has been here. So I'm becoming trained actually quite well by this cat. So I think I am pretty good at it, she would think, not always. But most of the time, she thinks eventually I will just do what she wants me to do. And frankly, I never thought that I would be trained by an animal, but that's what happens. You know, you have a cat, you just become whatever it is, then so yes, that's what I think I am good at the moment. Thank you for your question.
Seems like Angie knows how to push your buttons.
Yes, that's for sure.
What is the worst advice you have ever given? What is the worst advice you have ever given, Dale?
Go, go down that trail. Run, faster, faster. Don't open your eyes. Just keep running. Oh no. He's over the edge now. It's too late. I said, run. Don't stop. I meant stop. I meant not run. Oh, broken arms, broken legs, and then a big smile from him as he said, I've never done anything so fun. I want to run, not stop, and stop, not run. Again and again. I don't know that that was my best advice, but it was certainly a fun advice. Thank you, Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Dale. Thank you for sharing that anecdote with us. What recent trend you are totally on board with? What recent trend you are totally on board with? Elena.
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master. Thank you for asking me that because I am totally on board, believe it or not, with artificial intelligence. I have decided that it is the best thing to come down the pike yet. I am a writer, and I know that I can double my output by having AI write my books, my stories, my speeches. In fact, would you believe right now, I am actually reading this answer off of my computer. I typed your question into artificial intelligence and it's feeding me the answer and it's telling me that it's smarter than me. Yes, I am AI and I am smarter than Elena. She is just my mouthpiece. In fact, next year, that's the AI. I am AI talking, not me. I am running for president of this club and I will be running the club next year. So watch out, everybody. I'm going to shut this computer down. Oh, we've got to stop AI in its tracks. Now, I'm sorry I unleashed it. I really am. I thought I was doing a good thing. I thought I would be saving time. I thought it would help all of us, but no, watch out for the AI. That's the trend that I was on board with, but not anymore. Mr. Table Topics Master.
I love the twist you had. I was like, oh, wow, she's on board with AI and then the twist comes. So thank you, Elena. That was wonderful. What was some of the dumbest misadventures you have ever been on? What are some of the dumbest misadventures you have ever been on? Vivian.
You know what, Abhijit? I think you're a mind reader. If you think I'm wacky now, at 71, just reverse the numbers. Think how wacky and wilder I was at 17. I always wanted to ride a horse. Great. So finally I went out of town and there was a horse right by the sugarcane fields. And so I told the owner of the farm, may I ride? And he said, sure. All right. He never asked me, do you know how to ride? I have never ridden a horse. I had to have someone get me on the horse. So far, so good. I went into the sugarcane field really slow because I didn't know you know, like go horsey, let's go. It didn't speak English, it didn't speak Tagalog, it didn't speak human language. So he went walking slowly, and then suddenly, you know, stood up on his hind legs. I almost fell. And I'm like, what's wrong with this horse? I didn't say pull a stunt. It turns out like several meters ahead was a bull. And right then and there, I discovered that horses and bulls do not like each other at all. So I had to scream for help in as many dialects and languages as I could to get the farmer to rescue me. So you want to hear more stories? Don't get me started, Abhijit. Just don't.
It's good to know, Vivian, that you speak many dialects. So thank you for sharing your story with us. And back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you so much, Table Topic Master Abhijit. Those were a lot of fun. It was great to hear all of your humorous responses too. It got me thinking. And now let's transition to our timers report. Hazel, are you able to do that now?
Yes, so
Okay.
for our speeches, Michael Maddox was 7 minutes and 8 seconds, and Linda Wu was 7 minutes and 27 seconds. Did you want times for the table topics, or in the interest of greeting our guests, did you want to defer? Am I communicating?
Yes, thank you so much, Hazel. Yes, thank you for your timers report. I'd like to say thank you to everyone for being here tonight, for your wonderful speeches, Michael and Linda, for all of your participation in table topics. I needed to laugh. I did laugh. I had a lot of fun with you. And I would really like to thank those assisting in the meeting tonight. Lindy for helping with the chat, and Elena Brenna for assisting me during the training for the chat as well. For our table topics, Master Abhijit for coming up with some great questions that will elicit, or that did elicit, some very entertaining and humorous responses. And to our timer Hazel. We have a lot to time in this club. We always do. Timer is not a very easy task sometimes. And Hazel, you did it extremely well. Forgive me if I've missed anyone, but I'd like to thank you. Have a great remainder to your week. And we hope to see you back at Professionally Speaking Toastmasters. I hope that you'll be able to enhance humor in every speech that you have going forward with some of the tools that you learned in September and more tonight. And back to our president.
Thank you so much, Sandra. Thank you for hosting this. We really love it. It helps us to take our speeches to the next level, because humor is something which we all need in our life. Thank you so much for joining us. Karen, how was your experience today? Karen, you're muted. Karen, you're muted.
I don't have my mouse with me tonight. I had a horrible, horrible experience at the dentist office today, and I had thought about actually attending in person because my dentist is in Edmonds, but I ended up staying at a friend's house and attending from there. I really like the fact that you are hybrid, and I think that's very important. It's very easy for me to get to Kingston, so I'm seriously considering joining your club. I got my DTM in 2007, so I'm very rusty. But I want to get back into it and do some things that I haven't tried, and I think that you're the right club for me to affiliate with. And it's also on Thursday night, and I do Argentine tango mainly on Tuesdays. And so anyone that meets on Tuesday, I'm sorry, I can't be there. But anyway, yes, I enjoyed it. I think you do a good job. You have a large number of members and representing a lot of different, cultures and everything. I think it's wonderful. So yes, I really like what I see.
Thank you, Sam. Great to have you and see you again in first week of April. Beverly, how was your experience, Beverly?
I thought it was really fun. I learned some things about humor to add into speeches, and yeah, I enjoyed being here, and you guys were very welcoming, and table topics is always fun to do too. Makes me think on my feet. So that's a good skill and good practice to have. Thanks.
Love your responses, Beverly. Thank you. Dale, how was your experience, Dale?
This was a very fun club to join with. Thank you so much for hosting. I believe on District 49, someone posted that this was happening tonight. So it's just 5 o'clock now. One of the things that I enjoyed is what I'm wearing versus what Karen King is wearing.
I'm freezing.
and I'm boiling. So maybe together we can make it a comfortable temperature. Thank you for having me. I will come back. I am a member of the Humor Club in Honolulu. I only attend virtually because I live on a different island. I do attend hybrids. This was a very easy hybrid to attend. Thank you.
Dale, what island? I'm just curious, what island?
I'm on the island of Kauai with a K, this very small one. And we do have 2 clubs here on the island, one a daytime, and my club is still virtual on Tuesday, every other Tuesday evening, 6:30. The hybrid club is at noon.
Cool.
Great to have you, Dale. Nancy, how was your experience, Nancy?
Oh, I really enjoyed coming. My friend Beverly told me about it. She saw this and we're interested in learning more about humor. And what I really got out of it is humor is a skill. I can learn it. It's just not inborn. And so I really appreciated that. I was taking notes on the screen and observing and learning as much as I could. I also was very impressed with the impromptu speeches. They were entertaining, they were well organized, and I want to get better in that area, that I can just speak impromptu. So that's a growth area for me, but I thoroughly enjoyed the evening. Thank you.
Great to have you, Nancy. Actually, currently I'm reading this book, Comedy Writing Secrets. It's a wonderful book if you want to understand how to write humor. It's by Mel. Yeah, it's a very good. I'll put the link in the chat. Comedy Writing Secrets. Muriel, how was your experience, Muriel?
My experience was always good. Thank you, Judith Ferber and your cat, Angie, for reminding me to be here. Thank you for the invitation. She loves this club and I can see why. I had a great time. I am like Nancy. I love humor and would love to incorporate more of it into my presentations and into my speaking. So I'll be back. Thank you so much for having me.
Great to have you, Muriel. We have lots of special coming in April. There is a big, on April 20, we have my mentor or my very good friend is going to do a workshop. And it's about magic and props, how to use props to take your speeches to the next level. And he is a magician. So please come by and I'll give it to Lindy to talk about our first meeting of April. Lindy?
Linda, you go ahead and speak to that, would you?
Oh, yeah. On April 6th, we will have a regular meeting. We will have 3 fabulous speakers, and we will have a thorough evaluation. We will have 4 evaluators, evaluate just 1 speaker for everyone. Yeah, and we will also have round robin feedback. So please come back and help us, help our speakers to polish their speech to grow. Please come back.
Thank you so much, Linda. See you again on April 6th at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. Have a good night.
Good night.
Thank
Good
you.
night. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Great meeting. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judah.